Okay, here we are with the CN48xx. I actually don't have the actual CNC, but I do have the Hive HGH15, which is the Z carriage that comes on it, and the X plate. This is the plate that's mounted on. Yours will have linear strips here, which the linear rails kind of slide in right behind here and allow the machine to go back and forth on those rails. And of course, you've got your X limit switch. Keep in mind that's important. Got your Z up here. Got a nice power brick here to connect up our Z motor. And the bracketing that you'll eventually get is, of course, you'll have your universal arms. Those will be included in your kit, as well as a couple of track brackets. Set those aside for now. You'll also have a screw bag. If we look in this bag, it has various, some long screws, some shorter screws. So you've got 2 long screws, 4 of these shorter screws. These are all M5s. You have a M5, I believe this is 20 millimeters socket head screw. You've got a couple more smaller socket head screws, M3s I believe, and then of course a couple of M4 button head screws. So I'm going to set those aside for now. In your plastics pack, you'll have the actual brace. You have a couple of earpieces, one marked R, one marked L, and they sit this way. So it's whenever you're facing the machine is what's right and left. So on our video here, it may be backwards, left is on this side, right is on this side. And of course, here's a little piece which will help you move the Z limit switch. This is a pincher that grabs onto the linear rail, and we'll actually start there, you know what. So we're going to take, what is this, a 3 millimeter? Nope, sorry, this one is the 4 millimeter. The M5 socket head screw. It basically goes right through this front plastic piece here. And then here's the back one with the heat insert. Slides right in and spins right onto that. At some point pretty early as you're threading, you're going to want to put this on the linear rail. I suggest putting the socket head screw towards the front so you can tighten it down onto that rail. And what that does is it basically, the rail sits like right, actually you'll have to put it like face down, there you go. The linear rail runs right along here. Here are the 4 screws which mount the linear rail, the slide. And the linear rail itself will slide right out here. And what this does is this grabs right onto that and triggers that limit switch, which is near impossible to pull off if you're, unless you take the entire X plate off. I don't suggest that. So I've tried to build this entire bracketing so you can leave it all on the machine. Put this on there, that'll help you relocate that X switch. Set that aside. Well, it's on your machine, so move your carriage away from it a little bit. We're going to take the brace. This is a big long piece. It's got an R and an L on either side. The R and the L in this case face forward, so we're going to start there. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the brace, kind of set it between the thing here, the wire block, slide it down here, and what it's going to do is we're going to go into this screw and this screw, right? And it's going to go through this hole and this hole. And what we're going to use is, where is it? Here we go. These are the 2 really short M4 screws. Those match right up with this. So once you have that brace in place, you may want to unplug, or you may not. I don't have it, so I'm not sure, but I have tested it with wires in it. And I usually like just leave the wires in and just kind of wiggle the brace, pull these wires, tug these wires back away from the front of the CNC, away from the brace, so you can wiggle that brace down into position. Now, you may have to remove this plug here, just so that you can get this screw in. Now this M4 screw does take a 2.5 millimeter hex wrench. And go ahead and get that into position. I know this is going to be the hardest part about the whole install. So bear with me. Go slow, not to break anything. Slow and delicate, slow and easy wins the race. So, and once we get that into the actual hole, there we go. You can go ahead and tighten that down to final torque. And make sure your wires are all cleaned up and everything like that, and you're good to go. So we're going to flip it around the front, which of course you'll just walk around to the front of your machine. And I'm going to lean it up against my ooze nest here, my work bee. Now we're going to take in from the, we're going to go from the left side first, since that's closest to me. I'm going to take the left ear, the left track, and essentially we're going to take one of the long screws, right? The long screw, there it is going to go through the bottom left hole. We are not using these two threaded or these embedded nuts here. We're not using those two. We're using the ones that are coming in from the back. The one on the brace and the one right there. So we're going to go in from the bottom left. We're going to go into that back brace first. So that's going to go right through that hole. You'll notice the screw comes right through. That screw goes right into the one in the brace in the back. And this one requires the 3 millimeter hex driver. Now go ahead and just tighten it down. Don't go to final torque yet. And in fact, I need to adjust this a little bit more. In fact, let me put this on some tape so that I can lift it up. There we go. That's better. There's some stress being put onto this left bracket here. So I got the left bracket should line right along your the X part of your Z carriage. So we're going to put that in. Don't need to tighten it down to final torque yet. We're going to take one of the shorter screws here. We're going to send it right in through the top left. Now that should meet perfectly with that nut. Here's the right side. That nut that's embedded in the back side of that ear. It should go right into that. And you can go ahead and tighten that down to final torque. Now, everything should be pretty lined up right here along the side. This should be very vertical. Now is the time you can go ahead and put that final screw down to final torque. So here we are. We've got a couple of our right ear, I was going off on a tangent there. And then I've got another bracket. And of course, again, the holes are on the outside away from the center, just like we did on this side. Put that there. And on this side, we're going to take the long screw, drop it in the bottom right hole so that it pops right through the back here. And set it right into that brace. Use that 3 millimeter hex driver and just kind of get it started, right? We're not trying to torque it down just yet. And again, take one of those shorter screws there. Top left, and it should go right into that nut that's embedded from the back side. And again, you can tighten this down to final torque. And of course, now you can do the longer screw down to final torque. And you should be good. Let me flip it back over to the other side real quick. So on the back side, yeah, we're good to go. I actually think, pretty sure these aren't extra, but just leave them aside for now. And so there's basically 4 extra screws in this particular bundle. This is a generic bundle made for a couple CNCs. I know it looks a little weird, but there we go. Oh, cut, rewind, and now I remember what these screws are for. So you've got 2 more M5 of these short M5 screws. Now is the time to come back around to the back of your machine. We're going to take that 3 millimeter hex driver and come in from the top. And this is going to screw right into some plastic. So be patient with it. Do it by hand, please. If you don't have one of these T drivers, definitely look into a set. They're really cheap down at Harbor Freight. Highly recommended. Tighten that down. That'll give a nice, exceedingly strong connection to these brackets. Hold on, buddy. Okay, there we go. We're all set. You've got your brackets on there, and now you can go ahead and install your left and your right arms right onto your tracks, raise them up and down, and you are good to go. Remember, don't just own your CNC, dominate it.